Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prasthete Vanam Pitra Dhatva Gam Dharma Samshraya Satrimshad Varsha Sahasram Rakshitavyaha Tindriya. So this verse is being spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, we do this verse, which has a one-line purport, and we may do the next verse also today. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was very pleased by the young boy's determination and austerities that he performed. He performed the austerities with great determination. Because when Dhruv Maharaj was going towards the forest to start his austerity program, Narada Muni tested him on one occasion. Narada Muni said, "You're just a young boy. Your stepmother was just joking with you. You don't have to take her words seriously. Go back home and play. This is the age for playing, not for looking for God." But Dhruv Maharaj was so determined. He said, "If you can help me and look for God, I'm ready to talk to you. And if you're not ready to help me, then please don't distract me." So Dhruv Maharaj's father actually started lamenting that because of his harsh behavior and his attachment to his second wife, his young boy has left home and gone to the forest. His father's name was King Uttanapada. So one day, Narada Muni showed up in the palace of the king, and he saw that the king was feeling very morose. So he inquired, "What was the cause of your moroseness?" The father stated that he was lamenting for his rude behavior towards his son, and he was worried that in the forest his son may have been attacked by the animals and he may be undergoing so many inconveniences. But Narada Muni said, "You don't have to worry. Your son is taken care of by the Lord, and your son will return to this kingdom and he will enhance your glories." Like a young child, Dhruv Maharaj initially had a very big ambition, that is to have a kingdom that would even surpass the kingdom of any of his ancestors. Of course, we will see later in this chapter that Dhruv Maharaj was lamenting that he had manifested such a desire. So after having performed austerities for 6 months, Dhruv Maharaj was able to see the Lord face to face. Of course, his austerities were very severe. Like in the first month, he ate fruits and berries every 3 days. Second month, he ate every 6 days, dry grass. In the third month, he drank water once every 9 days. In the fourth month, he would inhale once every 12 days. In the fifth month, he had controlled his breathing process to such an extent that he was standing straight like a pillar, like a column. Of course, all these austerities of Dhruv Maharaj was accompanied by his chanting of the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya mantra and his meditation on the Lord, the form of the Lord that he had made with mud and water. So the Supreme Lord was so pleased by his austerities that he personally manifested himself in front of him, touched his forehead, and he gave him the blessings that he wanted. As you read in the verse that we discussed yesterday, the Lord has said that I'm going to give you a very special planet, a pole star. Further, the Lord is telling Dhruva that you will rule over this earthly planet for 36,000 years. Actually, King Uttanapada was very pleased after Dhruva Maharaj had performed his austerities and the Lord had told him that he should return. So when King Uttanapada heard about this, he could not even believe that one day his son would come back. So when the king got the news that his son was returning from the forest, the entire city prepared for Dhruva's arrival in a very royal manner. Just like you read in the 9th canto of Lord Ram's returning to Ayodhya. When Lord Ram was returning from exile, the entire citizens of Ayodhya and were there to welcome him. Similarly, when Dhruv Maharaj was returning from Madhuvan forest, all the citizens and his father and all the ministers of his cabinet, his mother, stepmother, brother, they all came to receive Dhruv Maharaj. So this incident, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, this Leela took place in Satyuga. This is a Leela of a devotee of the Lord. You have Krishna Leela and you have Leelas of his devotees. So, Dhruv Maharaj, when he returned from his Vedic austerities, his father consulted all his ministers, and Dhruv Maharaj was so popular with the citizens that they all decided that now Dhruva must become the king. So the father, when he saw that Dhruv Maharaj was very much liked by the citizens, and when all the council of ministers agreed that Dhruva should become the king, he gave him the throne and he left for the forest to practice extreme austerity. The Bhagavatam explains that Dhruva performed austerities when he was a young child, and his father performed extreme austerities in old age. It's not like the present day rulers who virtually never want to give up their seat unless they're defeated in the elections or knocked down by an opponent by some other foul way. In the Vedic days, the king automatically would give up the throne the moment the child was ready to sit on the throne. So Dhruva Maharaj did achieve his desire to have a very opulent kingdom. He was also given the benediction that he will be able to rule over the planet for 36,000 years. Plus, all his senses will continue to be as strong as they are when he was a young child. And he would never become old. And an important point to realize is that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, gave Dhruva Maharaj this facility to have a very unique kingdom, opulent kingdom, and to rule over the planet for 36,000 years because the Lord knew that Dhruva Maharaj would not get affected by this opulence. The Bhagavatam explains that 4 factors become impediments on the path of self-realization. You want to hear them? One is material opulence. If you have a lot of money, you don't easily surrender to God. Is anyone in this room from a millionaire's family? You are the real millionaires. And if you have a Mercedes car or a Rolls Royce. So material opulence is an impediment. When you have material opulence, you don't really think you need to go to God. You think money can buy everything. That's why Krishna doesn't give material opulence easily to a devotee, because material opulence has the capacity to bewilder you and distract you from spiritual life. Then material education. Krishna says 4 types of people don't surrender to me. Nam mam duskritana mura prapadayate naradama mayaya parthagyana shravamana shridaha. That mayaya parthagyana, those who have a lot of so-called material knowledge, they don't really surrender to me. Thakur Bhaktivinoda compares material knowledge to a heavy turban on your head. Just like a man is getting drowned. If he has a heavy turban, he'll get drowned faster. Then beauty, a very beautiful body. You have a very beautiful body, whether it's he body or she body, then again you get bewildered because everyone's running after you. And then the 4th is a very sweet family situation. So in that situation, you think that life is so sweet. Where's the question of Radha? So the point is, these 4 factors become impediments on the path of self-realization. But they don't necessarily have to be impediments. If you're intelligent, you'll come to the realization, yes, I have this opulence, this is by the grace of Krishna, so let me use it for Krishna. Just like there's so many millionaires who are also devotees in our movement. Then if you have material education, you can use that education to also establish the supremacy of God. So a devotee has the capacity to use opulence, education, beauty, etc. in service to the Lord. So we're not against millionaires becoming devotees. We're not against PhDs becoming devotees. And we're not against handsome people and beautiful people becoming devotees. And we're not against people with a sweet family situation becoming devotees. Provided you know how to use everything in service of the Lord. So in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, the Lord knew that he gave him this very upland kingdom, something that no one ever had. Dhruv Maharaj would not get enamored by this opulence. Just like we saw even in the case of Śrīla Prabhupada. After Prabhupada started the Krishna conscious movement in the Western countries, his disciples would give him dakshina, donations. But Prabhupada used all this facility to make opulent temples in Vrindavan, Mayapur, Bombay, etc. If you were to describe to the modern man the story of Dhruv Maharaj, that he ruled over the planet for 36,000 years, he would probably not believe it. Because our material knowledge is limited. They have no idea that in Satya Yuga, people could live for 100,000 years. They have no idea that in Treta Yuga, they could live for 10,000 years. They have no idea that in Dwapara Yuga, people's lifespan extended to 1,000 years. And in Kali Yuga, it's a maximum of 100 years. You don't have much energy. In Satya Yuga, people live for 100,000 years, and they were all devotees of the Lord. So, through these scriptures, we get the history, we get the correct history. The Lord was so pleased with Dhruva Maharaj's austerities and sincerity that He not only gave him a very opulent kingdom, but He also gave him the benediction that your senses will remain strong, you will remain strong, you will always be youthful, you never get old, and you will constantly perform charities and austerities. In the 18th chapter of the Gita, Krishna recommends that austerities and sacrifices should never be given up even by a learned man. In the Bhagavatam, Krishna says that I'm also the heart of all sacrifices. So Dhruva Maharaj was given the benediction that he will be able to perform austerities and sacrifices, and he will perform great charity. So it doesn't matter in what position or ashram of life you may be in, we should never forget the importance of austerities, sacrifices and charity. What is the austerity for this age? To chant Hare Krishna, to follow the regulative principle. Unlike material austerities that are painful, spiritual austerities result in joy. And the nature of this joy is it goes on increasing. Then one must also perform charity. What charity can we perform? You may argue that I'm not as rich as Dhruva Maharaj. I'm struggling for my own existence. What charity can I perform? So who knows what charity you can perform? Give food for life. Someone said food for life. Mochna. Real charity can perform is give this transcendental knowledge to others. That's a charity. That's an asset all of you have. Whether you're initiated or not, whether you're staying in the temple or a visitor to the temple, all of you are convinced Krishna ki Bhagwan Swayam. So give this knowledge to others. People these days everybody takes pride in giving charity. 2 nights ago I was doing a program in Düsseldorf in Germany, and one of the ladies there said, I spend all my time collecting money for cancer patients in India. So I told her, just collecting money to cure people's cancer is not the solution. You have to give people knowledge of God. Why are people getting disease? Why are people getting cancer? Why are people getting AIDS? Why are they getting these other fatal diseases? Because they're leading a sinful life against the laws of God. So unless people give up their sinful activities, they will not be able to really escape the sevenfold miseries of life. So real charity is to give people transcendental knowledge as to how they can become really happy and engage in service to the Lord. So just like Dhruva Maharaj was given the benediction by the Supreme Lord that he will have the opulence, he will get an opulent kingdom, and he will have the opportunity to perform sacrifices and charity. We in the Krishna conscious movement are also fortunate by the mercy of Śrīla Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. We have the opportunity also to perform austerities, sacrifices and charity. What is the plan for austerity? We've already discussed. Sacrifice and charity is engage in activities by which you can give people this transcendental knowledge. Sacrifice the desires of your mind. The mind is always contemplating so many nonsense activities, including laziness. And the opportunity to perform great sacrifice is there. The opportunity to perform, the opportunity to give charity is there. So we give charity by attempting to distribute this transcendental wisdom. Therefore, devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement engage in this activity of preaching. Preaching means giving charity, but giving real charity. Just like once Prabhupada was speaking very strongly and there was a lady in the audience. She said, Swamiji, a sadhu should not speak so harshly. But Prabhupada said, when you have a boil, you don't blow over that boil, but you press the boil and get the pus out. So we have to give people the real charity, not just this artificial philanthropic work. Just like in some parts of the world, they have some people who go to old age homes just to cheer up the old people. So it's okay, cheer them up, but give them knowledge how they should meditate on the Lord. If they don't serve the Lord, everything is useless. So there should be no doubt in anyone's mind that the highest charitable activity that one can engage in is giving people transcendental knowledge, especially through the medium of giving people Prabhupada's books. That is why Prabhupada gave us so many instructions on the importance of giving this transcendental charity. Unfortunately, people today are so intoxicated that even when we try to give them something for their benefit, they tend to reject it. Just like Prabhupada used to give the story of a man who was absorbed in flying his kite. He was about to fall off the terrace and someone said, careful. He said, don't disturb me, let me fly the kite. So now people are maturely intoxicated. We as devotees should not get discouraged by it. We shouldn't forget the symptoms of Kali Yuga that are predicted in the first canto of the Bhagavata. By and large, people are lazy spiritually, misguided, quarrelsome, unfortunate. But because we have the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐭𝐫𝐚𝐜𝐭 Krishna, we must perform this highest charity to endeavor to give people this transcendental wisdom. Dhruv Maharaj did not attract the Lord by virtue of material opulence or by virtue of the fact that he was the son of a great king. He attracted the Lord because of his faith in the words of his spiritual master and because of the determination to capture the mercy of the Lord and undergo austerities. Similarly, we can also capture the mercy of the Lord by having faith in the words of the spiritual master, the predecessor acharyas, and in having faith in the process of austerity. What was attained by Dhruv Maharaj thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of years ago is possible to be attained even today in deep Kali Yuga if you follow the process that was adopted by Dhruv Maharaj. You don't have to start eating every 3 days and gradually stop eating. You can eat 3 times a day if you perform the austerity of only eating Krishna and dedicating yourself to distributing this charity that everybody is hungry for. Just like Prahlad Maharaj manifested the mood of compassion. He said, my dear Lord, I'm not worried about my own liberation. I know you're the Supreme. I know how to please you. But I'm worried about those who are trying to convert a position of distress to a position of comfort. So we should look forward to the opportunity to bestowing this transcendental knowledge upon others. And the best way to distribute charity is to give people Prabhupada books. This is the highest charity. The devotees of the Krishna conscious movement are the real missionaries on this planet. Haridas Thakur, by his pure chanting, he was able to convert everyone into devotees. Haridas was also preaching and performing charity. His chanting was so pure that people would come from a great distance, see him, and get transformed. Even the prostitute got transformed. So we can't imitate Haridas Thakur because we don't have that level of purity. But if we endeavor to preach and distribute this transcendental wisdom, Krishna who is in the heart will definitely bless. Krishna, the Lord was so pleased with Dhruv Maharaj that not only did he give him these benedictions, but he also gave him the benediction that at the end of life he will be able to remember him. Ante Narayan Smriti. Our life should be so molded that at the end of life we can remember the Supreme Lord. So we should be serious about Krishna consciousness. Yam yam vapi swaran bhavam. Wherever your mind is at the moment of death, that's where the living entity gets transported. In the story of King Bharat, you see how At the moment of death, he was thinking of a deer, and then he had to take his next life as a deer. So we should so mold our life that at the moment of death, we will be able to remember Krishna. And that is possible if we strictly practice Krishna consciousness. If the devotee knows that the devotee is always thinking, I just have a minute left in my life. So he's always serious about Krishna consciousness. So Dhruv Maharaj had received all these blessings, and the Lord gave him these blessings, gave him all the facilities, because he knew that Dhruv Maharaj would not get distracted from the path of devotional service. And during Dhruv Maharaj's rule, the citizens were all very happy. Just like during Lord Ramachandra's rule on this planet, the citizens were extremely satisfied. During King Prithu's rule on this planet, the citizens were very happy. But during Maharaj Vena's rule on the planet, were the citizens happy? They were miserable. So when the head of the state is Krishna conscious, God conscious, then the citizens are also happy. In countries like India, even today people talk of Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya was a period associated with extreme satisfaction, happiness, contentment, no disease, no old age. But the real cause was they were all God conscious. So Prabhupada has explained that you can create Ram Rajya even in Kali Yuga. Just like you have technology today, that in your country in the winter, when it's minus 40 outside, but inside the room, if you have good heating, you can feel as if you're in Sahara Desert. And when it's very, very hot in the Middle East countries, the sheikhs have these air conditioners, it looks like they're in North Pole. Similarly, by spreading the Sankirtan Yajna, in this age of Kali, you can create Ram Rajya. You can create Satyuga atmosphere, even in Kali Yuga, by spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. And Prabhupada says, if you perform Sankirtan Yajna, take part in Sankirtan Yajna, then in the end of your life, you're guaranteed to also remember Krishna. So by distributing transcendental knowledge through the form of books, by giving Krishna prasad, by giving the holy name, by having very good deity worship so that people who come to the temple are attracted to the deities, by receiving the guests nicely, by keeping a very Krishna conscious environment, by keeping the temples clean, we will spread this Sankirtan Yajna. So every one of us should see himself or herself as a player in Lord Chaitanya's plan to flood this place with love of God. We all have the opportunity to become as fortunate as Dhruv Maharaj if we take advantage of Lord Chaitanya's magnanimous philosophy. Chant and to make others chant. So please do not be misers. You know what's a miser? He has money but he doesn't want to spend it. So don't be a spiritual miser. You have the plan by which everyone can become happy, but you don't want anybody else to get this plan. Why? I'm in a bad mood. I can't take part in this something. Too frightening for me. No, a devotee should never think like that. So if we endeavor, the Lord will help, as we've said many times. And we should have the determination that was manifested by Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv was a young child of 5 years old. All of you are a lot older than 5. So, why should you not take advantage of Dhruva's determination? So some of you may say, if I become austere like Dhruva, will I become as rich as Dhruva Maharaj? Maybe then I will. But if you can convince Krishna that you will not misuse the opulence, then anything is possible. But it's best to think Krishna knows what's best for me. So just try to follow the instructions, like Dhruva Maharaj followed Narada Muni's instructions, and your spiritual life will be blissful and happy. And Krishna will recognize you for all the books you gave, for all the prasad you distributed, for all the people you told chant Hare Krishna. All your Sankirtan schools are being recorded and maintained. The record is maintained permanently in Krishna. You may have forgotten your scores of 5 years ago. Krishna hasn't forgotten. The records are fresh. So give charity, perform sacrifice, perform a charity. Don't be a miser and be happy. And then Krishna says, you also remember me at the moment of. And if you become a miser, then you won't get the same degree of mercy. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama